The following program is sponsored by The Greek, Ely's Radio Shack dealer at 570 Altman in downtown Ely, and brought to you as a public service by Georgetown Media in Ely, Nevada. Regional Transportation Commission meeting, July 31st, 2023.
How are you? I wrote it down.
Call the Regional Transportation Commission meeting of July 31st to order. Roll call. Here, Richard's on his way.
Okay.
And our new member Mary, I'd like to welcome her. And we ask her if she'll lead us on the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, public comment. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. Melody Van Camp, 1125 Murray Street. 2 years ago, I'm here to complain about the JCR Murray Street project. 2 years ago, JCR came through in September, tore out my curb, gutter, and access to my driveway. In December of that year, they put somewhat of a curb back, and I was told by a professional contractor, cement person, that they don't know what kind of curb this is, but I have absolutely no access to my driveway. For the last 2 years, I've put in wood, I've put in gravel, everything to get to my driveway. I don't park on the street because I don't want a bashed up car. But I need to know if there's enough money in that retention fund from JCR to fix not only my driveway, which I have no access, and Ray Andre across the street is wheelchair bound. He'd be here today, but is in dialysis. He cannot access his driveway whatsoever with his wheelchair, and he has a hard time getting into it. So if there's not enough money to replace it and fix it right, I'm gonna have to pour or do something in my gutter. But I am not spending any kind of money to have that ripped out on my dime. But they did a terrible job, and there is at least 5 to 7 different accesses to driveway up that 3 blocks of Murray Street. Rec Brothers is on the other phase. Everything's uniform. If you look at our project, it looks like hell. Every approach to a driveway is different, and I haven't got anything. And I'd like to know if something's gonna get done to it, because if it isn't, I'm gonna plug my driveway. And I'm not ripping it out, I'm gonna plug it.
If you'll stay here, item number 4 will probably cover what you're talking about.
I hope so. Thank you.
George?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I've asked in the past, and I'm asking again, I want a permit. I've asked for permits that I was told were needed to park behind my sidewalk at my property, 710 Avenue G. And I've not received anything as of yet, not from the city, not from the state. I put in a request to Mayor Robertson and City Council going back to November 4th, 2021. Still no response from him. I'm concerned that you're allowing others, excuse me here, let me show you pictures, to park every which way. Bring the pictures. I apologize for that.
That parking has nothing to do with RTC.
Your engineers, your inspectors are in charge of what goes on city streets, okay? That includes the state. When I go to the state, they said we have nothing to do with city streets. Now you telling me the city has nothing to do with state streets. There's permitting
The city,
needs to be
not
addressed.
Not the city, controls that, not the RTC.
You're giving them money. When you're giving them money, that comes on your shoulders. You look at me, don't look at the mayor. He doesn't know what he's doing anyway. Let me carry on here. I want to know who inspects state MDOT projects in the city, Levy, and White Pine County. I've asked you numerous times. If you don't know, send me a letter. We don't know. But they send me here, so that's why I'm here. The MDOT project on Great Basin left me with 1 foot drop coming off my parking lot at 710 Avenue G and needs to be corrected. That's a hazard. I don't care who needs to address it, it has to be addressed. Let's see. The sewer connections to my property is on the 700 block Walkman needs to be placed in front of the property in particular, not my neighbors. You can't have 2 sewer lines on one lot and nothing at the other. There's a city code that needs to be followed, whether it's with the state or your engineer. Let's see, when you folks did the repaving or the graveling at Avenue D, no curb and gutter. It's required prior to paving. It's a city requirement. Mr. Chairman, NDOT installed a new project on Avenue D between 14th and 15th Street. There's no handicap access and the so-called sidewalk right-of-way is a ditch lined with riprap. This forces the handicapped into a and those in a wheelchair onto the road and onto vehicle traffic. This is all new construction, poorly designed to meet minimum ADA and EV city standards. Federal requirements. If it wasn't a new construction project, that's one thing. But when it is, they got their backs to the wall and it needs to be addressed. You can't keep ignoring it. Mr. Chairman, the drain that runs under the railroad tracks where Avenue C drains on a horse and needs to be redesigned. It is much too small to handle the drainage coming off of Avenue C at 7th Street and draining on a Orson Avenue. There's a lot of erosion there and the surrounding ground, around the surrounding ground, and it's going to become a traffic hazard. The water is not being directed into Murray Creek. What happened to the culvert and the drain that was supposed to be installed and upgraded at the corner of Avenue C and 7th Street East? That was to be addressed with the NDOT project. That's been years. We need to address it.
Thank you. Item number 3, update on RTC's budget financial discussion.
Yeah, I did.
Oh.
So, we had to move some funds because we agreed to a number that was not in the budget for Rec Brothers, and Rec Brothers needs to be paid, so we had to move some funds from city expenditures. I have Kathy here to explain more on why that is. So.
You're up.
Your turn. Your turn.
Do I need to stand?
No, you're good, as long as I can hear you on
She
here.
was here, so not helpful.
So, you guys were discussing this, I believe, in a 5-9 meeting. And the information that BJ presented was correct for the FY '23 budget. So he was giving you numbers that made sense during that budget season. But the truth is, you're not working on this project until the current budget. So the current budget changes every number. And there's no rollover, there's no move forward, there's none of that. You can't do any of that with a budget. So, currently the city road had 374,000 and the contract services had 401. And that was the budget for Murray Street. And I believe the number was like 600,000 or something like that.
580
So we moved, I believe it was 136 from the city roads to the contract services to cover that project. So in December, once we
You said
get
136.
163.
Oh,
163, sorry.
163, yeah.
Yeah, we moved 163 so that we could meet the requirements for the bid. Once our numbers are audited around December, then we'll see what numbers weren't used last year, what monies weren't used last year, and we can augment or adjust this budget based on those numbers. But we can't do that until December, possibly January, when the audit's complete. Does that make sense?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So like on the minutes, so I'll probably ask questions because I'm new, so I'm sorry. So it says that the bid was $563.42. And then we did say that we had $516 in this year's budget.
But
That would have been,
last year.
yeah, that would have been fiscal year 23.
But it was still short
Yes.
for last year.
Mm-hmm.
But it was still approved at the,
Mm-hmm.
and did you have the 163 to move? Did we have that money?
Yeah, you moved it from city expenditure. right?
Well, no, last year.
Oh,
she's
last
asking.
year.
Yeah, so we did have that in there to move it?
I think we had money left over in this,
I believe the discussion was that we didn't have enough money, this project was rolling over and gonna be constructed in this year. And so we put money in this year's budget into there to be able to cover that balance.
no, we didn't.
Well, it's under, that's what I think.
But
was
this is
in capital
the
projects.
problem you guys are having, is we didn't, and I should have caught it, because I was sitting here, I think, in that meeting. You can't plan next year's budget without having the money there. Or you can't base it off the budget year you're in, saying, oh, it'll just roll over into the next year, because it doesn't work
I
that
mean,
way.
I understand that, what the question I was answering was, I think she was asking the balance that we were short. That balance we were short was in this year's budget, that's what I believe.
I wasn't part of the 5-9 conversation, I can't tell you what happened.
Because you were gonna take it out of their expenses.
Yeah, because there
There's
was.
two separate, there was
yeah.
contract services budgeted, then there's the road department, street road department monies. So he wanted to take that money and put it over into contracts. But I think everybody assumed that that money that was not spent in FY '23 would roll over into the
Yes,
next
for
year,
sure.
and it didn't.
That's not how it works.
That's not how the budgets work. So at the time, and will be better going forward, if these projects cross over a fiscal year, we'll make sure that
Both of
Here to
us are,
explain
yeah,
it.
are here to come to the meetings and explain it.
Okay.
Okay, yes. So we'll roll it over the contract services, 163, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they've taken it, we've covered it, and then once the audit's done, there could be a way to augment and put money back into the expenses.
Yeah, under this report here, to show the 401,
Yes.
doesn't show.
That's the actual budget for this year.
Thanks, Kathy.
The only other thing in discussion right now is a project for slurry seal. And we're talking about taking county funds and moving it to the city in the amount of $300,000. I'm told you're aware of this, that's why I'm looking at you. So we would just have to do another budget adjustment, Lindsay, before that project starts.
Well, that's a request from Mike to make the slurry whole, but we don't yet have numbers.
Yeah, we'll have to get the numbers and put it out.
Yeah.
And then once
So
again,
we
once the
don't yet
audit's
know
done,
how
we
much.
could do an augmentation to give
We'll
it
just
back.
get,
cost.
we'll get together our, streets that we wanna do in the city and around here, county, and then get them to, BJ to put out to bid.
Well, the only thing that I have to say about that, because I'm not aware of this slurry thing, is, this is the city plan that the city approved, that me and you put together
That's
for
totally
after this
different.
thing. And so this has the streets that the city was going to focus
That's-
on.
That's
And
the
that's a
$300,000.
totally different money.
That's different money, BJ.
That's totally different money.
Well, okay, I mean, I guess maybe that's my thing, but I thought that was what our plan was with the streets, because
We
we
are,
had a whole
we're
bunch
still
of.
doing that.
We're
That's,
still
but
doing
that's
that
that,
with the city money. This
that's
has
city
nothing
money,
to do
that's
with
not
RTC.
RTC money. This is for, with the, up the canyon, around the courthouse here, Clark Street. That's a slurry seal project, and that has nothing to do with that money.
If we were going to do that, then if the city's going to move forward with a slurry seal project on whatever streets the city has identified, and if we're going to take money out of the county road expenditures to make that happen, to make it whole, then I would wanna add Clark Street, our section of Campton Street, our little section of Courthouse Canyon that's paved, you know, all in that area. I would wanna add all of that to that, but within that 300,000, not over and above that. Does that make sense?
Yes, makes sense, yeah.
So you guys will have your plan ready for the next
Yes.
meeting for our approval?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Have you said to discuss it, we have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, we wanted to make sure we had the finances before we brought it.
Okay,
And you're gonna try to make the project happen within what time frame?
This fall. I guess, I mean, you can't really put a time frame down because we haven't got to get the contractor what they're doing.
Right, but by the time it gets put out to, it's gonna have to go out to bid,
Yes.
obviously, right?
Yes.
And the time frame for that, and then to get it done, you know, by weather permitting, the end of September is the window.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a tough time frame to meet, but I guess we'll see what happens,
Yeah.
but.
Biggest thing is, like I
So,
said, we just need
with,
more finances.
with that, I'd be okay with it.
Okay.
all right, we're gonna schedule a meeting next month.
Can we ask for bids based on this discussion to see what, how many square yards that we can actually cover? But like, we have an amount, a number, 300,000 that includes Martin's small section that's added into that, which we were, because me and Martin talked about, we wanted to do all of Campton, not just his section, all of Clark Street, not just his section. My main focus is how bad the canyon is in how bad the canyon area is to take care of, and that really, if we don't do something to cover up them roads, and it's really hard for us to work with all the hills and all the problems the canyon presents, that we really wanna get that slurry seal to hold the roads together.
Well, I guess,
And if we go into spring and try to get this stuff done in spring, because to fit it in the fiscal year, we know how the roads look after our winters. They're especially this last winter gives us a good example that they're blown up all over the place, and it's not worth bringing in a contractor to slurry seal over a road that's full of potholes and coming apart. Or
the biggest thing is we gotta just get it out
I
there.
recommend you guys get together, get your plan together, and we'll schedule a
Yeah.
meeting. How, 3 weeks, long enough?
Well, I think to answer the question, the way the contractors always work with the slurry seal is, you know, we got a rough idea of what they are per square yard or whatever it is, and so we have our money that we're talking about, so we try to create a plan that roughly matches that square yardage. And so if it comes back in and the bid isn't quite exactly what we want, plus or minus, then we work with the contractor when they get out here in the field, and we adjust the square yardage that we're putting down so that we match our budget amount. And so that's how it usually works, you know. And so I guess to answer Mike's question as far as if, hey, this is the way that they want to go and you want to proceed, if we can put the plan together, we can put, in theory, we can put it back out on the street with our plan together over here, and while we're coming back to you with this final plan, it's also out there on the street so that we're trying to save time. If we gotta save time before winter, we gotta be kind of running parallel with each other to get this going. Because I agree with Martin, if we're gonna do it this fall, we should be moving, because we don't know when winter's coming.
Well, our mutual agreement between the city and the county, we only have a month, because August 31st was the deadline when the county would be supplying the city with some employees and equipment. And then after September 1 to the end of the season, the county would, the city would help the county. Well, we're sitting here now talking about, what is it, Campton and Clark, city, county combined?
No,
Is that right?
it's contract work.
That's
Yeah, it's
contract.
contract work.
That won't be,
This
that
won't
won't be
be-
us.
won't be-
We'll be-
yeah.
We won't be doing the work.
None of
We'll be
us.
hiring it out.
Well, I'm just
And we
talking,
have it.
I'm looking at the time,
Yeah.
because time is short. And August and September, let's say the end of September, to get our work done plus the contract work,
We are.
do we have the time to do that? Do we have the time to, without having a meeting before August, can we do that right now?
We do.
Yeah, we already are
We
working
do,
together.
we're already working.
We already
together.
are.
We already have our joint project scheduled for August.
What's that, just 12th and 13th Street? Is-
And K.
What does,
And K?
and then, when we do that in August, then I'm adding some county paved streets to be chip sealed within that timeframe.
We'll be really done.
Okay, I see on 13th, but I'm just worried about the time. August is here, and time's flying by, and then looking at September, so we got 31 days of joint work, and then off we go to our own.
I think we're
Okay.
they're right on
The
top of
city's
that,
prepping what they need to prep for the project through the third to the fourth week, last week of August, and the county's in the process of prepping for those projects. So when that comes together, we'll be ready.
Yeah, you guys are on top of that.
So back to Mike's question then, to be more efficient, can they go ahead and do with their plan and get the bids, so when we have our meeting, we have the plan and the bids? Because time is not our friend, because of winter, right? That's what he's asking.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
Well, I think right now we can move forward with a bid, but then we're gonna have to set a meeting to plan or to award.
Yeah,
Right.
yes.
Right.
There's things we gotta get, we gotta.
Yeah, I mean, that would,
So how long do we need to for bid?
I mean, it's gonna take a month by the time you get a bid back.
Yeah.
By the time you compile the streets, give it to them enough time so they can figure out their quantities, come back together, and so, you're talking, maybe a month from now, that would be ready to go.
But we can approve the funds, the 300,000, prior to you going out to bid.
Well, I guess the funds are
It's
there.
fine.
Yeah, the funds
Funds
are
are
there,
there.
that's just,
The funds are there, it's just a matter,
It's just a transfer.
it's just.
Yeah.
Transfer.
it's just a matter of the county's working with the city to come back in here and say, hey, use these funds to do this project. So the funds are in the budget.
Yes.
So it was requested to move 300
Yeah, we'll have to have Lindsay.
from county road expenditures to city road expenditures to make the slurry seal project.
Contract services.
And I'm good with that, so I guess it's up to the RCC members to say,
Well, that's what I
yay,
said.
we can do that, or no, we don't wanna do that.
Yeah, I think you need approval if you're gonna need it, transfer to one place.
Did I say that right?
Do we?
One entity to another entity, and have to have an action.
Because it's within the same budget, I can do it without approval.
That's what I was gonna.
And so I guess ultimately the approval that's gonna come out of here is the approval of the contract, the
Yes.
bid.
All right, well, we won't worry about till the contract's come out then.
Okay.
Look at it.
We just need to.
All right, item 4,
Together.
BJ. Update on the update on Murray Street project punch list.
Yeah, so we did a,
Thank you, Kathy. You're welcome.
we obviously did a walkthrough for the year warranty, whatever. We gave them the back of quite a long punch list of items that things need to do. JCR did write back and said, we will take care of them. They came back in and gave us a schedule of when they would anticipate taking care of that stuff. That schedule is basically mid-August is the date of that schedule. I think there was some things right after they put it in, and they said, hey, we had some things, can we get till, another 2 weeks or whatever, so a letter was written out to JCR, we coordinate that with the DA's office, with the city attorney, with you yourself, Wayne's seen that letter. that basically set out that, hey, you know, this is a deadline that you provided to us, this is when we're supposed to be done with this stuff. And if not, the county is quite likely going to take their option of proceeding to what's available in the contract to them to get that work done around them, but basically their responsibility.
So does that include what Melody's talking about?
Well, that's not necessarily on the punch list, because the punch list items are the things where the concrete is failing. The surface is peeling off. And so, I'm not sure if it, you know, when they were pouring, as she was saying, those timeframes when it's very cold weather, where if you recall in some of these meetings, be like, you know, you guys should stop doing this and come back up, pick up in the spring. In fact, I think we stopped the contract to come back until spring, because they kept trying to pour and do that stuff in the cold winter time. And so, you know, what it kind of appears to be is like it's the surface that froze, and the surface is slowly peeling off, you know. And so,
Or it's not slow, but it's coming off fast.
yeah, and so actually, my office walked it, me and Mike walked it, had a big punch list of items where this is at down there, and, you know, they did not give us any flack about those things that they said to come back and take care of it. And in those discussions, I believe even on the little letter that they sent back to us, it says, we're not gonna go tear up the road, we're gonna go pull up this little section, and then we'll repair that little section, get it back together to try to minimize any impact to all the residents that live along that road.
Okay. The retention funds, how much left of that? Have you an idea?
Well, there's no retention fund back in there. We're basically going back at this point in time to do their bonds, as if that's what the county's gonna proceed back to.
That doesn't include whatever.
So what are you telling me?
You're not on the list.
I'm not on the list, so it's my problem.
Well, I mean, I totally understand, I respect what she's saying right here. It, you know, we would have tried to address something if anything possible, but we had absolutely no budget to do that, you know. I mean, we just witnessed it today, that to even complete this project where it is, we had to bring money from this coming year's budget and everything else together, and that's obviously what this earlier agenda item was. And so, you know, I went back and I looked at the pictures of what she had prior to this, and I think the difference between this curve and what she had prior to there was plenty of overlays into there. And if you look at that curve, that her her gutter part was filled in with asphalt overlays, and so she was going over say a 4-inch, 3-inch.
Well, you can't get over it now.
And so now you got a 6-inch rolled curb there is what it is, you know. And so, you know, I don't know what, to do this, you know, I mean, if you guys want to.
So are these driveway issues not on the punch list to be fixed?
No, because it's a rolled curb, you know, so it's just a rolled curb, you know. Everywhere in town there's a rolled curb, you know, you go to the show house, you would drive off a rolled curb, you know. I myself at my house drive off a rolled curb, and so, you know, it's a rolled curb that absolutely is, yes, it's deeper than what it was prior to being there, but
You can't get up it. You
was
ought to
deeper-
try to
it
go
was
up
deeper
it.
because of.
You cannot get up. I want everybody to go up there and go forward, because you better have some money ready for an alignment job on your car. That is not a standard rolled curb. I talked to a contractor, they don't even know what it is. And nobody was watching. It's the biggest mess you ever saw, but I should have known.
Mayor?
I would encourage someone to go look at the profile of that, because there is a design usually in Basin Engineering's details that show exactly how that curb is supposed to be designed, and we usually have to get our form approved by somebody, and I don't think, I would agree with Melody, I don't think that matches the form that was in your usual standard detail. But that's my 2 cents.
Okay, I'm gonna fill the gutter. I'm gonna fill it with something, but I'm not using my funds to replace that mess. It's substandard work, and nobody was watching it.
So here's my question, sorry.
Go ahead.
I know I'm coming in late on this whole thing, but like if this is an issue all along there with everybody, how do we fix that?
It needs to be addressed.
Right, like, so that's why I'm asking, like, nobody wants to, I feel like there's a big elephant and nobody's talking about it. Maybe I'm missing something, I just feel like,
How much would it
I was
cost to
gonna-
replace
That's what I was
those?
gonna say, could we go around and put a cost together of what it would take? And then come back and talk?
Well, my feeling is, I mean, if it's an RTC project, we're responsible.
Hey,
I just would think that would be a starting point, is getting a cost put together.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say, so I can't authorize it, you know, and that's, it's gotta be you guys in the budget that authorize that.
I called BJ a year ago, well over a year ago, and I went to the city, I talked to the mayor. This has been a long time ago, there was a problem.
No, and I said, I did talk to her,
And you
whatever.
told me to wait it out, and I did, and what did I get, the shaft?
Well, no, what I said, I don't know what money's available to us or whatever, we gotta wait till see this project, and as you can see, unfortunately, the price of everything is escalated, you know, fuel, concrete, everything. I mean, everything is more expensive today, and so what we had in there is a budget, and that's what I'm saying. I can't do anything until we get to this project to see what we have as available for budget. We just don't have anything available in the budget.
It's not budgeted for this fiscal year, so without augmenting the budget to go back and fix it, the RTC board would have to budget for it for next fiscal year or augment the budget to fix it if they
Or,
want to do it, but it's not budgeted for this.
or you wait until the audit's over and see what funds are
funds are
available
left
from
over.
last
Yes,
year.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying, you start, to me, you start by getting the cost and then you wait and see what funds are available.
so when is the audit expected to be done?
I think the audits have to be done by the end of November, but then there's the month of December for the councils and the boards, the commissioners to approve it. So I think that's why Kathy's more comfortable saying January.
that's what she just said.
Mike and I can look at it and see if we can do something with our Durapatch machine or something like that. I know it's a new construction and that's not kind of, but to make it a better transition so she can get in her driveway.
It's falling apart anyway, it should be really easy.
Yeah, we've been able to help people out, like down on Ogden and stuff like that we're having the same issues, so we just smooth out that transition with our Durapatch machine for these people that want that done. I mean, it doesn't look like new construction when we do it, obviously, it's just, it's spraying, it's like chip seal in a tube that we spray in to help out the transition, but it'd be real easy and low cost. The cost would be just like under a couple $100 per driveway to do it. It wouldn't be any problem at all if that's what Mike wants done after we looked at it.
I don't know if anybody had a chance with the powwow this weekend. That's an excellent job. That's a nice road curve.
Sound of a question? Sorry. So, it's like we do it with like state and federal contracts, I think that might work with contractors. And so when we tear something apart and we put it back together, whether it's like a weatherization project or a rehabilitation project, it has to be as good or better. So on these driveways, so specifically Melody, so is yours as good? So obviously it's not better, but was it as good?
No, it's not, they
It's
should have
worse.
left it alone.
Okay, so with that, is there not recourse onto the contractor then, or a warranty? I mean, this is a great suggestion Mike made, and I think we should do that, but is that gonna avoid any warranty work going for, I don't know what that looks like, I don't know, is there warranty on
I
the
don't know
work?
that it will,
Was it a?
would void any warranty work that needs to go through with there. I believe if they come back in here, they repair everything that they're supposed to, that's gonna start your warranty time over again. You know, their repairs have gotta be warranted as well.
But those repairs weren't on that punch list, right?
I don't believe necessarily that was. on
No, and
the
I
list.
talked to your people too, over and over. I caught them when they were walking around, and I pointed it out to them. I told them to drive over it. Ray across the street, who's in a wheelchair, who came off that curb and fell off of it in his wheelchair. That's how bad it is.
Well, one thing I need to say is, there's not a single driveway that's meant to be ADA accessible.
Right.
Driveways are not an ADA accessible item.
He's got a terrible curb just like me.
But my point is, you're trying to say go over it, that is, no curb is ever meant to be ADA accessible curb. That's why you got ADA accessibility at the corners, at different locations, getting you on and off of that right of way. But every driveway entrance into a house is not meant to be an ADA access. They just don't meet them, and that's just the reality of the situation.
I still think the best immediate thing would be to do is to take their detail down there and make sure that that curb as installed meets the detail as was designed, because I don't think it does.
It's really steep. I honestly cannot get up. I have had lumber. If you go up there and look, right now I'm getting a roof done. But I've had lumber in it for 2 years. I have pieces of lumber, and then I poured gravel and dirt because I cannot access. I can't even get up in my scooter, forget about my bike. And I cannot access my driveway. Ray can't get into his. He's got the same problem. Borgoff's down the street. They're not that concerned, but they have the same trouble too. But they should have left it alone. I'd be happy if the city just come up, rip it out. I'd be thrilled to just drive right in on dirt. But rip it out or do something, but it is unacceptable. It's the biggest mess you ever saw, but I had a decent driveway. I'm happy, but that was taken out in September, 3 months of a mess that I couldn't even park in front. And they laid that concrete in December.
So is there a way that we can ask them to go down and check and compare it to the schematic and make sure that, can we give them a time frame to fix it? And you've already done a letter.
We were trying to get them to fix these other issues, and unfortunately, that's, a problem is,
I think if you gentlemen could take time to go out and identify which ones need to be.
I think there's only like, what, 4 driveways?
I mean, this is the only one that I
I know, but I guess
I've had to talk to me
if we're
about.
looking at all of them,
The ones that are in
We've
that
got
next
that all.
section. Last year, during that contract.
I guess there were specs on them, huh?
Yeah, there's definitely.
Okay. If you would, appreciate
Yes.
it. Okay, thank you. No more discussion on that. Let's move on.
I'll keep putting boards in the driveway, then I'm gonna fill it if I don't get satisfaction. In the gutter, that's what I'm gonna do.
Good idea. Most forward. Updates from the city.
Oh, look at Murray Street.
We've done some dirt patching for the county down there on through their roads. We did a cold mix overlay on Avenue K and on the lower 13th Street East, and we're planning on doing lower 12th Street East and making them all part of that chip seal job when we come back and cover up what the scrub seal demo was done on the upper and 12th and 13th Street East. And we're also gonna cover Avenue K to hold our cold mix overlay in place there.
So your 13th Street and 12th Street are the lower part, that,
Yeah, we did a scrub seal demonstration and I liked it. It's some, they're still in the development stage, but for a possible purchase in the future for RTC to go on our RTC distribution truck. If Martin also likes that, I think we both were pretty well satisfied that it's better than just a chip seal on doing that. So, we had a scrub seal demonstration where they brought in a box all it does is help the oil, it creates like a wave so that the oil uses brooms to push in and fills it up better. We did some side-by-side comparisons with just a regular chip seal with the box lifted up so we could see the difference between, we're overlaying everything to help smooth out the roads completely, but it shows us a difference between a road that is just chip sealed, a road that is scrub sealed and chip sealed, and one that's double chipped, and which is the best method, and whatever, it's gonna work the best, but I think Martin and I were both fairly impressed with the scrub seal, and when they do like that, could be a future possible joint purchase for the county and city to go on our distribution truck there.
So on this year, you're just doing this, let's say, the north side of Avenue.
No, no,
Or are you going all the way
We're
13th
taking Avenue B up to M.
to M? Okay. So you're right now to Altman, right?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
we just did the scrub seal above it because that was something that they wanted to demonstrate.
Right.
They did the travel lanes because that's what the demonstration was agreed that they wanted to do. But then, on the lower part, it was, I don't know if you've been on lower, 13th Street East, but it was really potholed and in real bad shape, and we used a cold mix overlay to cover, the lower part of it. But, we've done in the past, used a slurry seal or a chip seal over top of our cold mix overlays, and they seem to last for years without us having to do any more maintenance on them.
So my question is, are you going to be able to get 13th to M, from
Yes.
Altman to M this year?
Yes.
Yes, that's all in the plan. We're gonna chip seal over top of everything, including upper and lower, and we're gonna fog seal over top of that, because it looks nicer when it's painted black.
Good enough, that's all I want.
Yeah.
What about 11th Street? Any plans for 11th?
Not this fiscal year, no. We've done some Durapassion and then the 11th Street, even though it's a little bit of a rough road, it's on parts of it, it's also holding together fairly well. So we had some roads that were completely came apart and had huge holes in it and stuff like that where we couldn't just make it a smooth road. So 11th Street is in the future, but not this season.
Thank you for doing the one by Steptoe Park. That one had no road. Was that Cape?
Yeah.
And we'll
Was
do,
like-
we'll
was
do
like
that
an
chip on
earthquake.
top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of that same chip seal. So once we chip seal over top of that, ought to
Tighten it up nice.
stay a nice surface for quite a while.
Yeah.
Martin, updates from the county. Let me ask you about the Ruth Highway.
I don't have any, just what Mike just said. We'll work with the city of Ely to complete these chip seals in August. Fog seals will be scheduled for the first part of September, and that will complete that until next spring. We'll move forward with some more, we're gonna continue out in the cross timbers area with soil stabilization and chips. Probably not until spring. Right now, we're putting in a lot of culverts, $26,000 worth of culverts in the cross timbers area.
It's just above the railroad tracks, Highway 44A. You got it on the east side, big two areas there, it's really tight to chip off. And they're about that deep.
I'll look at shoulder in it,
Yeah, it needs more.
and then this fall sometime at NDOT's availability, they'll go back up and restripe that road.
Yeah, it looks good, you can see it now. Public comment. Anything else? Anyone, George?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I found my pictures. I just wanted to reiterate, I feel for Melody. That inspector that inspected that particular job let you folks down, let alone her. I think Q&D may have put that curb and gutter in because they screwed up not only Altman, but the corner of my property. They put a utility block 6 inches above my old level parking lot. When I complained about it, they said, don't worry, we'll fix that. They paved up to the utility blocks. That being done, they had to pour another new curb and gutter on top of the existing curb and gutter that they put in a month earlier. Therefore, I've got a 1 foot drop. A liability that you folks put on me. I got the property closed because I'm afraid somebody's gonna drive off. You need to get a new inspector. The city or whoever NDOT is, that's why I'm asking you. Who inspects those projects? I'll take it from there. I've asked you for permits. Here we have, across the street from my property, people able to park within 10 feet of a fire hydrant. You've taken one of my parking spots away from my hotel. On the other end, you've got traffic parking at an angle, backing right into traffic on Great Basin of all things. Here's another picture. Vehicles coming from the west, others parked from the east, and both have to back up into traffic. Half-assed. Here's another picture from a distance. You can't have mixed parking. It's gotta go in one direction. It has to flow with traffic. That's a concern you people need to have. If we're gonna grow in this community, we can't do it like that. Last item I've got, someone is failing to send me an agenda and the packet.
And I sent them on 7.
Well, I'm just telling you,
So,
I want to get on that list. I don't care if you send it, Pony Express, but this is the last time I'm gonna tell you, I want it. I hate going up to the post office, driving 2 miles to see where it's posted. Remember the Nevada open meeting law.
Anything else? Any other public comment? Are you now gonna entertain a motion for?
Question,
Oh,
do we set, we have to have a meeting set, right, because they're gonna look at bids, these guys are gonna work on that.
I think what we'll do is, we'll go back in here, we'll get it together, we'll figure out the dates of when we'll get that bid back, and then we'll coordinate with Lindsay to get a meeting scheduled for that.
Okay, I just wanna make sure.
Yeah, I wish we could do it today, but I don't think we should do it today.
It's all right.
that's just a 7, 8 date before we notify the send the information out. Entertain a motion for closing.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor, aye? Okay.
This has been a Georgetown production. George Chatchis reporting.